You're now listening to the Let's Talk About Life podcast, brought to you by Don't Settle, with your host, Harrison King. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Let's Talk About Life podcast. My name is Harrison King, and I'm super excited to be doing this today. This is a very special day. It's the first episode of this podcast. And before we started, I just wanted to give you a little background, little info on what this podcast is about, what the aim of it is. It's brought to you by Don't Settle. It's a platform and brand that is really focused on personal growth and providing information and resources to anybody of all ages and experiences in life, and just providing them with some resources to help better their life, help to better your life. So that's really what this podcast is about as well. We're just talking with people about life. We're just chatting, and I'm gonna learn along with you, and I just want to share the conversations that I'm going to have with some people. Sometimes it will be just me relaying some information to you, but most of the time we're going to aim to have a little chat with somebody and hopefully be able to record it and share with you, and just to get talking about some issues that we don't talk about in everyday normal, day-to-day life with somebody. You see somebody at the store, you're just saying hi, how's the weather, how you doing, and everybody, your classic, oh, I'm doing well, how are you? That we want this to be more than that. I want to talk about the bigger things in life, and that's what this is about. So if that's something you're interested in, then let's talk about life. This first episode, I was very grateful to get to have a chat with my grandfather, Austin King. He and I talked about confidence, something that, well, as you will hear, he struggled with, but has overcome. And I just wanted to have a chat about that, share some information from him, and hopefully you guys can get some insight if you're maybe struggling with confidence, or you just want to try to be more confident, anything like that. But really, the whole point of this podcast is just to help your life get a little bit better. You want to improve your life, and your situation or whatever, and maybe just get some new perspectives. It doesn't have to be something you agree with. We're going to try to talk about everything, a broad range of topics, and hopefully keep it entertaining and interesting to you. And I don't want to ramble on anymore. I want to just get right to the chat. So let's just hop right in. I'm here with Austin King. I'm very privileged to call this man my grandfather. Actually, I refer to him as Poppy because you're from Newfoundland,
right?
And that's a common thing, I think. Yes. Anyway, genuinely one of the most incredible people I think I've ever met in my entire life. One of the only people the first word that comes to mind when I think of you, try to describe you, is wise, which I don't think is a very common thing. And I want you to know that too. But I'm just very happy to be able to have a conversation with you and share it with some other people. And he was a radio operator, if I was correct.
Started out as a radio operator and a surface weather observer.
There you go.
Up in the Yukon.
All kinds of things. And then went on to you did lots of public speaking.
Yes.
A hairdresser at one point, not by choice. But the thing we're here to talk about today is confidence. Something that I know you struggle with. I believe as a young boy, but now you're probably one of the people that I would say has the most confidence out of the people I know, which is a very big change. So I guess we're gonna chat a little bit about that. Maybe you can share some things with people how to improve. But I guess let's start with a little background, I guess, on who you are and kind of your story.
Well, I was, as you say, born in Newfoundland and raised back in the 1950s. And it was an interesting time because I really never felt very confident in school. I was always considered the shy person, the one who didn't have the self-confidence. I wasn't self-assured. I did well academically, but I struggled with relationships. I didn't have the confidence to speak in public, to speak to a room of adults when I was a teenager. So I did not make eye contact. Eye contact was scary for me. I always felt inferior. And when I was in grade 9, I heard people talking about how tough algebra and geometry and trigonometry was. And I believed them because I tended to believe what other people were saying as opposed to believing in myself. And that became a challenge for me. I struggled in my last year of high school. I had to rewrite some papers because of my own self-limiting beliefs. And I didn't understand at that time that it was self-limiting. I didn't think I was good enough. I wasn't smart enough. The good Lord created me, but he must have had some leftovers when he made me. So that was my thinking. I struggled with self-confidence. And, but times improved as I went along because I didn't want to settle for that kind of life where I was constantly in fear. And the fear was gripping, and it was affecting me, affecting my body, affecting my mind. And I didn't understand where it was coming from or what I could do. I thought, I will always be like this.
Right. Interesting. So then, like I said, you've had a dramatic shift from that point in your life to being, the other day you just said to me, you said, you tossed me up on, the news or whatever, like it doesn't matter. Now, was there something specific that caused that switch, or was it just, I would assume, like a progression of steps and things that you learned, or kind of where in your life did it start to change? Or did you start to realize, I guess, what that you wanted to change?
Well, I knew that if I continued on the path I was on, I would never be fulfilled, that my life would never be purposeful the way it should be. So there was a desire deep down, and the desire is a word that I may come back to later on because it's significant. There was a desire, a burning desire, and I didn't want to tell anybody that I wanted to overcome my fear, especially of public speaking. And then after a few years of working and getting married, having a family, there was an opportunity came along, a course called the Christopher Leadership Course. It was a course in public speaking. And it was a 10-week course. I took it, and it changed my life.
How old were you at that point?
Well, that's a good question. I was about 30, 35.
There's still a significant amount of time while you were trying to deal with this.
Significant amount of time in a dark place.
Right. Did you find any improvement between that time as a child and then to when you took this course? Was there any improvement, or you were pretty stagnant in your?
I was improving gradually, and I would say incrementally, but not significantly.
Okay.
So there would be little things here and there. I volunteered when we lived in a city in Alberta. I volunteered to be a cub leader. And part of that was my desire to make an incremental change in my life, to put something back into the community.
Right.
So I began to think more about what can I do for others more than, and benefit myself in the process. That was a step.
Right. I guess that's super interesting. I actually didn't know all of that. This course that you took, I guess, what were the big things that you learned? Because you said change your life. So what were these? Let's talk a little bit about that, and hopefully you can relay some information that you've learned to anybody else that's maybe in this situation, so they don't have to. You can share your story, so people don't have to wait the 35 years to
Exactly.
to.
Well, good question. One thing that struck me with this course was that it was very similar to Dale Carnegie. I had taken an introductory course to Dale Carnegie, but couldn't afford at the time, and my employer wasn't in agreement to pay for my Dale Carnegie course. And the instructors for this Christopher course were all volunteers.
Oh.
So the cost was quite significantly less.
Right.
And in that course, it is a course in leadership and in public speaking, and it has a Christian dimension. So it talks about better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. And that's, of course, from St. Christopher.
Right.
That was one of his models. And this was not a conversion episode where you're trying to be converted to Christianity or some other religion. But there was a conversion for me. There was a conversion to believing in myself. And one of the things it taught me was that I can express myself more significantly, more demonstratively, by letting something from the inside come out. It helped get the butterflies flying in formation instead of fighting with each other inside. So it really helped that fear.
What kind of specific things did they discuss that helped you? Like what kind of things? You're saying letting it out. Like what are you able to let out? I guess in that sense to help you get there.
Yes, that's a good one. Every week, it was a 10-week course. Every single week before I went, I would feel this tension inside my solar plexus. And I just tense up. I almost feel like I want to go to the bathroom and get sick. And then I get in the door and we start the class, and it was so supportive. People believed in me. People believed in me more than I believed in myself. And that made a difference. Then they started teaching things to be more expressive. For example, they started the evening, each course, with a warm-up. And a warm-up, just like an athlete warms up before an event, our warm-ups were nursery rhymes that we acted out. And the whole idea was to get us to express, to use our hands, use our body, use the body language. And I found out later that there was a study in UCLA back in the 60s where it was determined that 7% of what we say, the words that we speak, will be significant in getting that message across. 38% will come from the tone of our voice, how we express it. But 55% comes from the body language.
You communicate more with your body than you do with your words.
And now that study has been questioned down through the years, and they say it's not absolute. It's not 7%. It's not 38.
Right.
It's not 55. But the significant thing of that is that body language tells more. For example, if I were to sit here and say, "I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, Harrison," or if I say, "Harrison, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here,"
right,
there is a difference. And that's one of the things the course taught, was how to express and let ourselves come out and let the true person come out.
Yeah. Does that have to do with people, like other people, viewers, or just people that you're talking to, like subconsciously having that, like they're taking in more of your body language than what you're saying sometimes? Like, is that more, obviously it's more significant, but do you know why?
Well, I think it's important because all three expressions, the words, the tone, and the body language, make up the total message. And if the body language is not consistent, then the audience will look at it and say, well, that's what he's saying, but does he really believe it?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that is really where that falls.
I think one of the challenges that comes, and we're talking about more so public speaking, but even just conversations and stuff.
Oh, totally.
But I guess to take it a little bit of a turn, which I'm sure, again, you had struggles with, just day-to-day life, when you're not just talking in front of a group of people but you're kind of feeling not super, your self-esteem is low, your confidence is low. Do those things you're talking about, like body language and things like that, will they help you in just day-to-day life, like just how you carry yourself? I guess what's been your experience with that, or what do you think?
Precisely. I went on, just to go a little further, I went on and took many courses after that, which we may get into, I don't know, in this interview or if there is another one. What I found is that my even standing and walking, standing in front of a mirror and looking at myself and saying words like, I like myself, I believe in myself, I'm a good person. These affirmations were significant.
Right.
And my body then responded accordingly.
Okay.
So you walk taller, you walk with more confidence, you go into a room, or you even sit at your desk if you're alone, and you breathe in and you breathe deeper. And that's one of the things that they taught us in this Christopher course, was breathing is significant. It's significant for life, let's face it. We don't breathe, we're in trouble.
Right.
But breathing, not just shallow breathing, where we breathe down here into our lungs, but breathe down into our diaphragm. And like I learned recently, some singers actually breathe down as if they're breathing into into their spine.
Right.
So that you can get more resonance, you have more power, and it gives you more confidence when you're speaking.
So you physically, you feel more confident, not just that you're portraying the body language, but your body, like your anatomy is feeling more, like you feel more supported, right? And more full, and that makes a lot of sense, actually. So
I think every cell in your body responds to this kind of thing. Because let's face it, everything we know now from quantum physics, everything is energy.
Right.
Everything is energy. And the energy in our cells, the energy in our bodies, the energy around us, the energy that we create is important. And with our thoughts, the same thing. So then look at how do I get my thoughts onto a positive path, as opposed to looking at myself negatively and saying, well, I'm not good enough.
Right. Confidence is in that sense, a lack of the wrong type of energy.
That's true.
Right?
It is true.
I was going to say a lack of energy, but it's not, because it'd be the same amount of energy, but it's just the wrong type.
It's the wrong type of energy.
And what's the... Now, it's easy to, I guess, know these things. Like, this is, what you need to do to change it, or I need to put in the right type of energy or the right thoughts and things. But how do you make that switch? If you want to do it, like you said, you want to do it, but it's hard to take that first step to try to start thinking like that, or to get into focusing on these things, even though you know them, to actually put them into action. How did you find it? What made you kind of take that step or take that leap into just going for it? Because I'm sure you were scared to start, doing these things.
It is important, I believe, to have a certain amount of, not necessarily fear, but stress or anxiety about doing something, so that our bodies start to say, oh, something's coming. There's a change coming. There's a change coming. Is it a change for good, or is it a change for something that's negative? And what it does, it helps us get focused on what we want as opposed to accepting the way things are the way we don't want it to be. So I like the idea of having a certain amount of stress. Now,
how do you change that amount of stress? Because it goes from because I agree 100%, like especially with, as being a musician.
Yes.
You don't want to be completely like no adrenaline or butterflies or anything, because it's actually going to impact your performance. You want a little bit of it because it shows that you care, right? And it makes your
Absolutely.
and you put in that energy. But if you have too much, then it can be like debilitating. Like you don't want to do. So what's the shift? You know what I mean? Like from having too much of this fear to just the right amount.
It's recognizing that fear is created in our minds. It's created in our minds, and if we take the word fear, F-E-A-R, as an acronym, let's look at it this way. Fantasized experiences appearing real. Fantasized experiences.
That's wonderful.
Appearing real. So it's in our mind. It's a mindset change. We have to change our minds and say, I don't want to continue doing what I'm doing, because as Einstein pointed out very clearly, if we continue to do what we've always done, you can't expect different results.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that desire, here we go with desire again, to focus on what we really want and realize that I'm creating the fear. There's nobody out there creating fear.
I think that's a big thing.
Nobody can make you feel inferior, as I think Eleanor Roosevelt said. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission. And
Yeah. Wow. The fear thing is a big thing, because I think, well, especially in the times that we're living. Actually, I was just listening to another podcast yesterday about this, and they're talking about fear, and that, like the fear, like you're saying, like the fear comes from within. And I think a lot of people just in general like to put things, put the onus on somebody else or something else, so it's not their deal. And it's very easy to, especially right now, to be scared of the virus going on and all of this stuff. But there's no like this virus going around doesn't have like its own like fear generating, like it's not meant to do that. We've put this thing on it that it's scary. We've decided, but there's actually like far more scary things out there. Like I just learned that like the regular flu kills more people than this virus does. But we're not scared of the regular flu to the same extent. It's because we've decided that this is scary, and that, I think that's a big shift, especially even for me in my life, figuring or determining that the fear isn't something that's just innate in something. You label it. And you put it in yourself. And I think that probably can be a big shift. Like I'm sure once you kind of realized or started to realize that you were putting this fear into yourself that nobody else was.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true, but you're leading into a very significant area, and that is, what about all the information that's coming at us, coming in from the media, from people in authority, whether it's government, health, or other areas, and we are being told there are certain things that we must do seriously for our own good health and our safety.
Right.
So we can't just throw it all out.
For sure.
Throw out the baby with the bathwash. However, how we respond to it is our choice.
That's right.
That's our choice.
Is taking that information and making a conscious choice about it, or
doing something about
analyzing it, I guess, in a way, instead of just passively accepting that that's the truth.
Well, that's so true, because then we get into the wonderful thing about our brain. Our brain is divided. We have what they call the cerebral cortex, left brain, right brain, left hemisphere, right hemisphere. And the left hemisphere, of course, is the linear, what we call the linear side, that thinking side. And the right brain is the creative side. Your music would probably come from
Right.
the right brain. The creative side. Well, okay, so we've got these two sides, and we're getting this information. Well, there's a connection between the two that I didn't realize for many years. There's a little fibrous band of nerves in the shape of a C that ties both left and right hemispheres together. And it is really the significant thing that helps us in responding to all this information that's coming in.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because there was a study done back in the 1960s in Bulgaria by a Dr. Lazanov, and he found out that there are 4 levels that the brain operates at, 4 levels of frequencies. The beta, the first one, which is when we're wide awake, operates at, I think it's 14 cycles per second. And then there's the alpha, which operates from 8 to 13, somewhere in there. And then the theta, which operates from 5 to 7 cycles per second. I believe that's what it is.
Something like that, yeah.
And then from a half a cycle to 4 cycles per second is the delta, and that's when we're sound asleep. Well, what he found was that the alpha, which is relaxation, when we're in a relaxed state, and the theta, where we're just about ready to fall asleep, those 2 areas, if we play music, especially classical music, and get ourselves into that state, that our learning and our thinking changes. And,
why is that?
And that because we are not influenced as much by what's going on when we're awake, we're more influenced to all this information that's coming in from various sources.
You're more open.
And we become more receptive to believing and actually programming our own minds to believe in ourselves. So it comes right back to some of the earlier questions you asked.
Right.
So I was fascinated by that, because that in itself helped me in moving from this sense of gripping fear to being more confident, to being more self-assured.
Wow. You talked about something about looking in the mirror and the things you're saying to yourself, which is very interesting to me. And I've been doing some research on it in the past bit, which we've discussed previously, actually just earlier, about self-talk.
Yes.
And even your thoughts, how they can change, well, your reality, but they can actually take it like on a level with your anatomy. Like it can actually change things in your brain chemically by just what you're thinking. And that's a big thing that I think a lot of people don't know.
I believe that.
I 100% believe that. When you
that.
believe something, or you were just telling me that story, but when you believe something or the things that you say that you subconsciously don't realize that you're saying. I heard about that somebody was saying, well, the sole purpose of our brain is to keep us alive.
Yes.
Right. At a really simple level.
Yes.
It's here to keep us alive.
Right.
So when you talk, you're talking and saying things to yourself like, like I hate this job. This job is killing me. Right? Something that people say.
Yes.
They don't actually mean it. Like they're not going to die from the job, but they're saying those things to themselves. So their brain starts to believe it. And your brain, like I said, is meant to keep you alive. So your brain goes, oh, this job's going to kill me. So
true.
in the next 2 weeks, you're going to get sick. Your brain makes you sick, so you can't go to work because it knows from the past that when you're sick, you can't go to work. So it's trying to protect you. So it's making these things that you don't even realize are happening. And I learned this, I don't remember who it was from specifically, but they were like a master in kind of self-talk. And they were saying that this is, it's been proven So those things that like you're saying, like just even saying that, I like myself. Hey everybody, I hope you're enjoying the podcast this far. I hope you're learning something. I know I did. But I just quickly wanted to interrupt and let you know that this is indeed the first episode, and we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. The camera that we were using shut off, and it happened to be connected to the microphones that we were using, which is a mistake I will not make again. But so if you're watching the podcast, there will be no more video for the remainder of the chat. And if you're just listening, I just want to let you know that the audio will be a little bit different, and I hope that's not too much of a bother. But I don't think it's a big deal because, the main focus of this is the content, the information. So I just wanted to quickly hop in and say that. And let's finish it off.
The truth about it is that the mind, makes soma, the body, sick. So if we're thinking about something that's negative and that's dragging us down, like you mentioned, the job, I hate my job. Well, the subconscious mind accepts that, and it records, hate my job, hate my job, hate my... So then the body starts responding to this because the brain sends that message down, and the body responds accordingly, and you wake up one morning and I don't feel well. I just don't feel well. It's interesting. I remember being with an individual one time, and he was talking about how you could actually influence another individual. If you came into the office and you said to an individual, gee, you don't look too well today. And if that person is not confident, they may say, well, I didn't sleep all that well last night.
Now they're telling themselves that.
Now they're telling themselves. Now they start believing. Yeah, well, I did wake up a few times, and I had this. So yeah, well, I wondered because I just came in and just, it looks like you're not yourself.
Right.
Which is not a very good thing to do to somebody.
No.
But this chap was saying he had taken some courses in mind control.
Oh.
That's another area.
That's a whole different, yeah.
But so we start to believe in our subconscious, and then the subconscious feeds back to us this information, and it's constantly playing.
Makes it a reality.
Exactly.
That's interesting. I've never thought about that specifically, but I've definitely had that happen with somebody to say, oh, you look tired, or you look whatever, and I didn't feel like that.
No.
I didn't think that I was.
No.
But as soon as they said it, I did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you start to believe it. Wow. So that's definitely an important thing, especially in regards to what we're talking about confidence here.
Oh, exactly.
Lots of that stuff is self-talk.
Yes.
And in the big picture, you're the only one that can change that, right?
Yes.
Which can be a challenging thing too.
Well, it's so true. And if we look at self-image, self-confidence, self-concept, well, self-image and self-esteem is how we look at ourselves.
Right.
How we, how much do we like ourselves? Well, if we're struggling, we may not like ourselves very much. Right. Now, self-concept is how much we believe in ourselves. So if we believe in ourselves strongly enough, then that's a foundation to build your success.
Right.
So you've got self-esteem, self-image, self-concept. Build those up and do them by doing the affirmations, the self-affirmations. It's good, I've done this. You take a self-affirmation like, I like myself, I like myself, I really like myself. I'm a good person. And you say that 3 or 4 times, but record it and play it back. And hearing your own voice can increase the influence of that by up to 80 to 85%. Hearing the words can increase it, can give you a significant boost.
And how often
Ah,
do you do that?
how often do you do that? Well, of course, it's difficult. I remember taking one course and the chap said 21 days, and we hear it. You hear it on podcasts, you read it in books, 21 days.
To form a habit.
To form the new habit.
Right.
They say, well, why 21 days? Well, there's one person said, if you take a chicken will lay an egg and sit on that egg for 21 days. The chicken's brain is about the size of a pea. The human brain is about, the average adult is about 3 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilos, but anyway, about 3 pounds. So they say if a chicken with a brain that size can sit confidently on an egg and hatch it in 21 days, surely a human can do the same habit, whatever it is, not sitting on the egg, of course. And after 21 days, you will have developed this new pattern of performance, pattern of activity, pattern of desire, pattern of habit.
That's right. All it is a pattern.
It's a pattern.
Yeah. It's quite astounding to me. We've talked about some specific things, but people that are really having a hard time, and you said once you went to that room with the people that, you said, well, these strangers that had support for you, the strangers that believed in you.
Yes.
There's a lot of, everybody's got a different situation, but there's some people that can't put themselves in a situation like that.
That's true.
How do you get that feeling of support? How do you find that support if you can't, you're not fortunate enough to either have it around you or to be able to go to a place like you're talking about? What do you think you can do to get that support or to start supporting yourself, knowing that others do believe in you?
I think it's important to do, in a sense, a self-inventory. Mm-hmm. And you write down, what do you like about yourself? And what do you dislike about yourself? And it'll be interesting to look at those two lists, likes and dislikes. And if you have, hopefully you've got a friend or you've got somebody, and you ask them to write down, what are the things that you like about me? Chances are you will be surprised. Because the very things that you dislike may be something that somebody likes.
Right.
Or they don't even see it. That's your blind side. That's your scotoma.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's a really good thing, because I think there's a lot of things that we just put into our own, like we're saying, just put into your own mind, right? Like that fear that we're just creating ourselves, which I guess checking in with somebody else.
Yeah.
Can.
Yeah. Here's one thing. I used to think that my work organization was going to look after me. It was that big brother mentality,
right,
that I will be taken care of somebody. Well, as I got into my adult life, I realized that I don't see a lot of people out there taking care of me for the needs that are deep within me.
Right.
A lot of things are being taken care of. A lot of people, they like you, they trust you, they have a relationship with you, and so on. But there is no big brother coming along to save you from your own fears.
Right.
And then I learned that if it's to be, it's up to me.
Right.
If it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to you for you, what you want. Mm-hmm. So from that, I thought, wow, I must be responsible then for my own well-being, my own self-confidence, so I have to take charge. I have to take ownership and get away from negative talking, negative thoughts, and get away from negative people. And this may sound harsh, but sometimes you have to drop some of the people around you if they're quite negative, because that energy tends to influence. And if you start buying into it, you get drawn in like a leaf going down the river.
Sure.
And there's a little eddy on the side, and the leaf gets drawn in, and you're in that current, and you're going nowhere.
That's right. Well, you're the average of the people around you.
Certainly.
Right? The specific quote that comes to mind is not saying you should necessarily have a circle, but you're if you look around you and aren't inspired around by the people in your circle, you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
That's right. That's so true. That's a good.
It's a very, very good thing, because you don't think about it like that. The people, it's a big thing. Like you're saying, there's not the big shift. I think for some people is realizing that you can't wait around for somebody else to do something for you.
No,
and that's a big shift, which I've realized as well. That you do spend a lot of your time just waiting for, something will happen because somebody's going to do something about it.
Yes.
But you got to take that responsibility. But having people around you that have the same visions and the same goals and the same intentions for things that they want to work on. Maybe you're in a situation like this where you're not feeling super confident, but you've got, I guess it could be two things. You could be around people who also aren't confident but don't want to do anything about it,
right.
Or you could be around people that aren't confident but want to do something and grow with you, so you can push each other.
Yes.
Or you could be around people who are very confident, and they're gonna raise you up to that. Like I said, you're the average of the people around you. So if all the people around you are extremely confident and self-assured and things like that, but you're not, you're spending some time with them, it's gonna dramatically increase.
That's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true. It's important, I think, on this journey of self-improvement, because if you don't adopt a lifelong learning acceptance, what happens is we continue along doing what we've always done.
Right.
And eventually we die and probably missed out on many great opportunities. And there's a saying, an old saying, I can't remember if it's Mark Twain or William James who said it, but most people go to the grave with their music still in them. A sad thing.
Wow.
A real sad thing.
That is.
And now, that's of course figuratively speaking,
right?
Because you're a musician, I'm not. but really, it's important to get around positive people, and as you say, they will build you up. And I remember a number of times I've started groups. And they're mastermind groups that comes out of Napoleon Hill's book. And he says, get a mastermind group. And these are people who they have an interest in improving themselves, but they want to draw on the expertise of another person.
Right. So
you've got somebody with a musical background, somebody who's maybe in accounting, somebody else who's in a different area, and it may be construction and whatnot. But all these people, if they're creative and they're working on building up themselves, they can add something to help each one of us. So that's important too.
For sure. It's not just one specific, I guess you can tailor things for one specific thing if you're going towards a certain goal, but just being open and to a broad number of people and ideas. And things can definitely help you change your mind. What's one, before we kind of, I think, wrap this up, what's one, if somebody can take away one thing from this, and they're struggling, and they want to improve their confidence, even if you're not struggling, but you just want to improve your self-confidence, what's the one thing that you would suggest out of all of this? What's the one big piece of advice out of things that you've learned?
Things that I've
Where can you start?
we have to start with ourselves. And we must get on a road of success by believing that we were created good enough. Mm-hmm. We were created good enough. But somewhere along the way, we've lost our way. Mm-hmm. We've lost our way. So we need to find the path back. Believe in yourself. Until we believe in ourselves, it's very difficult to get on that road to success. Mm-hmm. We're struggling in the ruts.
Right.
And as they say, a rut is a grave with the ends kicked out.
Oh my. Yeah.
So it's very important to believe in yourself. Yeah. And until I started to really, truly believe and trust that I had the ability to do something. Mm-hmm. Maybe I didn't have the skill yet, but I had the ability.
Everybody has the ability.
And everybody does. Mm-hmm. And for heaven's sake, this is probably the best bit of advice, is to always have a positive mental attitude, a PMA. You can teach somebody skills, but you can't teach them attitude. Mm-hmm. I've seen it in the workplace. I've seen it with myself. And when I changed my attitude, I changed my life.
Yeah. Well, there's also the quote, or the thing that you can't teach somebody anything. You can only teach them to learn it from within. Yeah. The same thing like that. So you're talking about attitude. Like you can't teach somebody to have a certain type of attitude. They have to, like I said, make that decision. You can't hold somebody else accountable.
The attitude is the gold nugget of success.
There you go.
I think so. It's as simple as that.
For sure.
It's the gold nugget. Now, do you want to dig for it?
Right.
And you won't find it out there, and you won't find it out there, but you will find it in here.
There you go. Wow. Well, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful spot to stop for today. I really appreciate having this conversation. I hope the people that do give this a listen can benefit from it. Sure, it's helped me just learn some things.
Well, I appreciate it. It's a wonderful opportunity to share, and I learned from you too. That's we're right. All in learning.
That's it.
So adopt an attitude of lifelong learning. Mm-hmm. And I'm 76 years old, and I hope to live for many years yet. Mm-hmm. And I will be learning every single day that I have left on this earth.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for making it this far and listening to this episode. It's just, like I said before, super exciting to me to be starting this journey with you and to be able to share some of these conversations that I'm getting to have and maybe spark some discussion in your life and maybe, you got some things to think about now or things that, maybe you want to look into a little more. And that's really what this is all about. And I hope that you benefited from this as much as I did. And really, that's what it's all about. We're just talking about life and growing together. So, like I said, I'm very grateful. Thank you for listening. There will be more soon. And if you are interested, you can always, check out more stuff at our website. And hopefully, we'll be back right away in the next week, 2, I don't know, something like that. And with some more stuff to talk about, more talks about life. So in the meantime, have a great rest of your day, whatever you may be doing, and just remember to keep loving life, and we'll chat with you later. If you're interested in more content like this, go check out our website at don'tsettleofficial.ca. We're dedicated to providing resources, information, and content designed to assist you on your journey of personal growth, and most of all, to help you live life to the fullest. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll chat with you next time.